Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Go check out my website at skyazrael.com for life coaching and mentoring. Let's talk a little bit about failure. I've talked about failure before. A lot of us look at failure in the wrong way. We don't understand what failure is. We count up our failures. Oh, I know I do. I got a whole list of my failures. And I could run down them pretty quick. I don't have to think for a long time about, well, was that a failure or not? I'm pretty clear on where I went wrong. I've lived this life for a long time, stuck in this syndrome of supposed to. You know that syndrome. Maybe you do. The syndrome where you say, none of this happened the way it was supposed to. My life didn't end up the way it was supposed to. Oh, I have all kinds of regrets, all kinds of guilt, all kinds of shame, all kinds of failure. What I perceive as failure. And what I've realized is we don't always want the right things for ourselves, even though we may think that we are right at the time. There's a philosophy that goes, man, meaning humans, man always acts rightly. It's a statement. It's an age-old philosophical statement. And it's true. People don't typically intentionally act wrong. Even the psychopath, somebody that's doing something wrong, is justifying it, thinking that they're doing right. The guy who is robbing an old lady at a bank machine, in his twisted, fucking crazy brain, has justified it. I'm not saying he's right. That's not what the statement means. It's not man is always right. The statement is man always acts rightly. Meaning that we think that we're fucking right all the time and we justify our actions. And there's also a statistical fact, study that's been done that 95%, maybe more, I forget what the number is, but it's up there, it could be 98%, of all the ideas that you have are terrible ideas. That's anybody, even smart people, even Kanye West, who calls himself a fucking genius. 90% of the ideas, 98%, whatever it is, are bad ideas. That's even Tesla, even Einstein. Sure, he came up with some great shit, but the stuff that he threw away, there's tons of it. So when we're coming up constantly with bad ideas, and we have this false projection of being right, of acting rightly, why then do we look back, like I have so often, regretting that things didn't end up the way that I wanted, that things didn't happen the way that what I had in mind? You ever contemplate the idea of destiny, of fate? I don't know if I would go as far as talking about how everything is pre-written, like that we're just characters in some sort of play. You have freedom of choice and you can choose your path and get the consequences, whatever that may be. You can be random, but there is this idea that no matter what choice that you make, you have a destiny that's going to be waiting for you. You may not reach your destiny. Not everybody reaches their destiny. Some people think that no matter what choice I'll make, I'll end up at the right place because it's my destiny. That's not how I see it. A lot of people miss out on their destiny. There's homeless motherfuckers out there doing drugs right now that are the greatest people in the world, and they're just not choosing to meet their destiny. There's guys in the joint right now who are locked up doing hundreds of years who fucked up, and they're not able to meet their destiny because of their own actions. Their own twisted mentality, their own mental illness. So we don't all reach our destiny, but we all have one. It's waiting for you. And very often we think that, especially when we're young, that we got shit figured out. She's the person I wanted to be with. It didn't work out. That relationship is categorized in my brain as a failure. I blame her for ruining my destiny. We were supposed to be together and have a kid and live in a happy house on a hill and whatever the fucking fantasy was, and you cheated on me, and you know, whatever the story, right? And a lot of us have these types of stories. And things didn't end up the way I wanted it to. Many of us have these types of stories that we use as ammunition against ourselves, as ways to prove this idea of failure to ourselves. See, I told you, nothing ever works out for a motherfucker like you. I don't know where that voice comes from. I have that voice in me, and it comes up. I don't know who that is that says that to me. It's me in my own head, but why would I say shit like that? And so I realized that very simply we have to let go of the past in order to be able to reach our future. But it's not just simply letting go in the way to where you say, it is what it is, fuck that bitch. Sure, she cheated on me and left me at the altar, fuck the bitch, whatever, I'm over it. You're not over it. True forgiveness doesn't sound like that. You want to be able to move towards your future without one single tear towards your past. There's nothing that fucks you up anymore. You won't even be able to recognize your future until you can completely separate and cut off your future. Your destiny is waiting for you, but it's not ready to receive you. Those doors will stay closed. The gates of heaven will stay closed until you can let go of what you wanted. Like that Rolling Stones song, you don't always get what you want. I had to kind of surrender my will, this idea that I know what's right, I know what I'm doing, I'm so smart, I got this, I'm in control. I had to surrender all that I did to a higher power. I'm not saying you have to. But when I surrendered my plan and realized, I'm just not very good at this game, and whatever you want me to do or be, I will do and be. I'm ready. Just point me in the right direction. I realized I wasn't as much of a boss as I was a warrior, a soldier. I'm not saying you have to think this way, but I had to go through a process of surrendering. And when I did that, it was really surrendering my ideas of the future that I had developed in my weakened state when I was younger. I developed all these notions of what I wanted the future to be like when I was weak. I had to surrender all that, give up all of that, wipe that chalkboard clean, get it all out in order to be able to receive what was waiting for me. A whole life, a whole plan. What you're witnessing now is what I received. I had to reduce myself to nothing. It's not comfortable. Nobody wants to do this shit. The bottom line with this and the video is, what we call failure, all these instances of prison, being beat with baseball bats, being dumped, whatever it is for you, all these little scenarios that you look at as failures, as trauma, those are course corrections, not failures. You need to remember the lesson and get rid of the lesion. For example, I cried for a long time like a bitch about my fiance who left me. I've talked about her in a couple of videos, and I realized through my relationship with my higher power, and I'm not saying that you have to have one, it's just something that has value to me. I preach mind, body, and soul. This isn't just some workout channel or some motivational bullshit. We get down on all three levels. Maybe you've heard this before, but you can't lose what you never had. And sometimes what we choose, what we think we know, I know that she's the one. I know that this job is the job. I know that this town is where I'm supposed to be. You think you know so fucking much. You can't lose what you never had. I never really had her. I thought I did. I cried over losing her. I never had her. She wasn't part of my destiny. I was just too pig-headed to see it at the time. I had to lose her in order to be able to receive the greatness that's to come. I don't know. It's all food for thought. But I just want to restate, you have to move towards your future without one single tear, without one single angry thought, without one regret for your past. It's all food for thought.